G'day legends, welcome back to the channel. Hope this video finds you well, happy, and living your best life as always. And welcome back to another episode of Show Us Your Tips. A little bit to get into today. Before we get into any of that, you guys know the drill. Links to the social media, the eBay store, all that stuff downstairs in the description as it always is. And look, before we kick on with the tipping today, there is just a couple of things I want to have a little chat about. Look, it was a very interesting round of footy last week. Look, a lot of things happened, but one of the main things I want to talk about just quickly today is concussions. Look, I was settling in to watch the Saints and Collingwood game last week, and I was absolutely flatlined when I saw the Mason Wood incident. To me, that is the worst, I think, concussion incident I'd ever seen. And I'd actually been saying that in a group chat with some mates of mine the week before with the young bloke from Freo who got knocked out. That looked like the worst one I'd ever seen. And then we have it again this week where Mason Wood gets absolutely poleaxed with a mid-air collision. And look, to be honest, for a little while there, I was fearing the worst. It looked absolutely shocking. The way he was sort of like convulsing on the ground afterwards and stuff. It was just, look, I've got a pretty strong stomach for that kind of stuff, but that actually made me feel a little bit ill. It was pretty rough, to be honest. It was pretty rough. And I think we need to seriously start asking the question now, is it time that we put all players in helmets? Look, I've been racking my brain all week to think of sort of reasons sort of for and against it, and look, there's a few things that I've come up with for the against thing, which I'll go through now. And I feel like, you know, the one thing that I would worry about if the players were all in helmets would be like, if players are wearing helmets, are they going to feel more comfortable leading with the head? And is that going to maybe lead to more neck injuries because they feel their head's protected? They can really go in like head first. And is that going to then create a bit of a spike in neck injuries? And the other thing is, maybe is the helmet themselves going to, I guess, contribute to more impact injuries of helmets hitting other parts of the body? I mean, these helmets seem pretty soft. I feel like they're going to lessen the blow a little bit with all that padding and stuff on there. But look, I don't know. I feel like this is something that, you know, might not happen tomorrow, might not happen next year, but I definitely feel like this is maybe the direction that we are going to go. And I understand it's a worrying thing, you know, I mean, not so much maybe a worrying thing, but it is a fundamental change to the way we will see the game being played. You know, obviously the game is going to look a lot different having, you know, 36 blokes on field all wearing helmets. And I know that, you know, that's something that the old school AFL fans really pride ourselves on, I guess, in pride, and it's a point of pride in the sport that, you know, we play this manic, hard, contested game with no pads. But look, I feel like this is something that's going to be coming. I feel like with the you know, the way that concussion is treated now in the game, and the way that we have so many players missing games, it feels like there's a concussion in every second or third game this week. And we want to see the best players out there, right? We want to see guys out there going hard at the footy. But at the end of the day, for me, player safety in a professional sport is workplace safety. I, for one, I work in kitchens. I'm a chef by trade, and you know, like, we have to have certain protective clothing in terms of aprons and heavy knit jackets and stuff like that to stop us getting burnt and all that kind of thing. And, you know, that's just a standard practice in my profession. But look, I do think that this is something that will be coming into the AFL pretty soon. Like I said, I don't want to see guys on the ground, you know, doing sort of these ones all stiff and locked up because they've got a really nasty concussion. And I'll tell you what, you can spare me the tough guy stuff on this. Like, I'm sorry, I don't really want to hear it. Like, I feel like we really have to look after the players. We've seen what's happened in the NFL with all the concussion lawsuits, and that has started to happen here. I know Daniel Venables, the young bloke from West Coast that had to give up his career along with Brad Shepherd, I think currently both in legal proceedings with the AFL over compensation with that. And look, I just think if we're going to see these guys putting their bodies on the line every week, I think we need to look after them. And I think, you know, look, I'm happy to, you know, I'm sure the conversation's being had by more important people at AFL level than me, but I feel like starting this conversation is something we really need to think about. You know, I think we really need to think about this in terms of the longevity of our players. Now, look, the next thing I kind of just want to talk about is, look, I'm going to fire one off at my fellow Eagles fans here because over the last 2 weeks, the discourse on West Coast Twitter has been absolutely ridiculous. I feel like there's this cycle that West Coast fans have kind of been going through at the moment where we've been saying all preseason, yeah, we're no good. You know, we're not going to be able to turn our problems around in one preseason. You know, I just want to see them play the kids. You know, I just want to see the green shoots coming through. You know, and then look, we come up against two teams who I believe are going to be top 4 teams in GWS and Port, and we get pumped as expected. But then there's all this discourse of, oh, we're so shit, oh, burn the club to the ground, sack Simo. It's crazy. It's crazy. Now don't get me wrong. I am all for holding the club accountable as a fan, but some of the vitriol leveled at our players over the last couple of weeks has been pretty off the mark, in my opinion. I'm going to pick out 2 examples here, and that is Jack Darling and Liam Duggan. Now, I get it, okay? Jack Darling has definitely not had the best start to the season. And look, sorry, I got an alarm going off here. But look, Jack Darling has definitely not had the best start to this season. Look, he hasn't been very good, but let's just take a step back for a minute and just think about 2 things, especially from this game against GWS on the weekend. Number 1, he's playing on Sam Taylor, who is the best defender in the comp. And look, some people will say the best player in the comp at the moment. I just don't really see what more people wanted from him. Yes, look, I think there were efforts that weren't quite good enough. I'm not giving him a free pass. He definitely has not had a good start to this year. But look, the delivering to him was pretty much non-existent. And there is an important structural thing that Jack Darling brings to this team when he's there. He takes the best defender every week, especially while Oscar Allen is not out there at the moment and isn't going to be out there for a long time. I just don't think you can drop Jack Darling at the moment, because what you don't want to have is Jake Waterman or Ryan Marrick or hell, even Bailey Williams having to play on Sam Taylor or having the best defender play on them week in, week out. I feel like that's going to stunt their development a little bit. I feel like, you know, if Waterman's getting the second or third best defender every week, that's good for him to grow confidence. I don't think we really need to grow Jack Darling's confidence. I mean, you know, we kind of do, but I don't know. I feel like it's a very reactionary thing to just say, let's just get rid of Jack Darling, chuck him in the waffle. I mean, the cupboard's pretty bare. I don't know how many people have looked at our entire playing list and then taken out all the injuries guy, but it is very, very thin. We do not have a deep list. Even when we've got a healthy list, I don't really feel, maybe when Oscar's there, but I don't really feel like we have the luxury of sending JD back to the waffle because, you know, that best defender then goes on to one of these young kids and absolutely towers them up week in, week out. Look, the other player I want to talk about is Liam Duggan. Look, I've heard people talking of stripping the captaincy of him, send him back to the waffle, get him out, play the kids. And look, that's fine. That's reactionary when your team's getting pumped. I understand that. But I don't really know what people expected from Doug, what more they expect from Duggo. Like, look, his first game against Port was very poor. He got plenty of the ball. He went at about 47% disposal efficiency. Watching the game live, it very much felt like every time he got the ball, he either kicked it out onto the full or was a turnover, and it was a dirty day for Duggo. Absolutely not going to hide from that. But statistically speaking, he was our best on ground against GWS, and people were still calling for Liam Duggan to be stripped of the captaincy, to be thrown back to the waffle, get him out of the team, he's no good, trade him for a bucket of chips. I mean, this week against the Giants, he got 28 touches. He went at 78% disposal efficiency, took 7 marks, 3 tackles, had 6 contested possessions. This is without any CBAs, mind you. So this is all off halfback. He also had 542 meters gained, which was the most for West Coast. But yeah, I guess you're right. Strip him of the captaincy, drop him. Jesus Christ. It's all a bit much for me, I think. I think everyone just needs to take a step back, chill, enjoy the little wins. That first quarter against the Giants, even though we were down by a few goals by the end of it, that was the most fun I've had watching a quarter of footy by West Coast in about 2.5 years. So yeah, look, that's just a couple of things that I wanted to just, I don't know, I just sort of got my goat a little bit over the weekend watching footy. But look, now that I've got that little rant off my chest, guys, let's get stuck into the tips. Alright guys, so look, it was another pretty mediocre week in the tipping by your boy here. Only 5 tips last week. It was no good. We really need to find some form here. Look, I swear before I started making my tips public, I was actually pretty good at it. But look, we'll see how we go this week. I'm doing much better in AFL fantasy, mind you. Currently ranked 1784, which is a pretty good start for the boys at Live Laugh, Liam Ryan. Look, I got some problems to deal with this week in fantasy, but look, I think we're off for a pretty good year. And look, maybe this is the year we finally get that hat. But anyways, look, this isn't a show about AFL fantasy. This is a show about tipping. So let's get stuck straight into it with the first game of the round, and that is Brisbane Lions facing off against Collingwood at the Gabba on a Thursday night, Easter Thursday. Look, this is going to be a very tough game to call here. I've been sticking pretty fat with the Pies so far this season, but I don't know, man. Like, Brisbane have had the extra week off. Is that going to be a help or a hindrance? Are the Pies going to pull their finger out and play the style of footy that we know they all can play? Is Darcy Moore going to find some form, or is Danaher and Hipwood going to have a day out? I don't know the answer to any of these questions, guys. My gut says the Pies aren't going to go 0-4 to start the year, but, you know, the Lions are no slouches at home, and I can't really see them going 0-3 to start the year either, so it's a bit of a tough one. Look, I'm going to err on the side of caution here. I'm going to go with the Brisbane Lions at home at a very close game, but, I don't know, like, I really like the Pies as well, but we're going to go with the Lions in a close one. Let's go by 9 points. And I tell you what, this probably wouldn't be a bad week to maybe put a cheeky fiver on a draw. Who knows? Look, moving on to Good Friday football now, and we have got North Melbourne versus Carlton at Marvel Stadium. The Blues are coming off their bye into a pretty soft matchup here. I can't see the Kangas pulling up an upset here. They were quite good for a half last week against Freo. Look, I'm not sure with such a young list, even if they had another good start against Carlton, whether they're going to be able to keep that up for a full 4 quarters. Let's not forget what Carlton did coming in round 1, coming back from a fair way down to knock off the Lions at home, so they are definitely no slouches. So, look, I definitely think it's going to have to be the Blues here, and we're going to say by about 5 goals. So let's lock that in now. Blues by 5 goals. Next game of the Good Friday doubleheader is the Dockers taking on the Crows at home at Optus Stadium. And tell you what, the Dockers look pretty bloody good at the moment, don't they? Far out. Look, I'm happy for them. Good on them. Look, you guys who've been watching this channel for a long time know that I am not one of those Eagles fans who hates Freo. I would much rather see them get the chocolates over some Victorian mob at the end of the year. That's right. WA bias here, mate. But look, I think the Dockers are going to get the job done here pretty much. I think that they're going to match up quite well. But I think the midfield battle is going to be really interesting. I have a feeling that Young is maybe going to try and play that midfield cooler role on Dawson, which is going to let Sarong go head-to-head with Laird, and holy hat, what a matchup that is going to be. I think Freo will be too strong at home here, with Action Jackson giving the big giraffe run around all day. That's the ruck battle, of course, the big giraffe being Riley O'Brien. I don't think he's going to be able to go with Jackson, and when Jackson starts to push forward and run all over the ground, I don't think Rob's going to be able to keep up with him, unfortunately. So I've got the Dockers here, and I've got him getting it done by about 4 goals. We'll lock that one on here. And then moving on to Easter Saturday footy, and we're kicking that off with the Essendon Bombers versing off against the Saints at Marvel Stadium. And I've got to say, mate, I've been pretty impressed with the Saints so far this year, and I do like them to get the job done here. No 2-meter Peter for the Bombers for 4 weeks. It was just revealed this afternoon, Tuesday, time of recording. And yeah, look, look, it's going to be interesting. So if he's out, I'm assuming they're going to bring in their top 10 draft pick in Nate Caddy. So I'm excited to see how he goes. Look, I think Max King is a maybe. I don't think the tribunal results have come in for that one yet. But look, I think they're both going to be a little short in attack. But I do think the Saints are going to be able to get the job done here. And I'm going to tip them by 18 points or 3 goals. And we're going to lock that one in for Saturday. Moving on to Saturday night now. This is game of the round for me. We have got Port hosting the D's at Adelaide Oval in what to me seems like a real litmus test for both sides here. I feel like we don't really know whether both of these teams are good yet. They've both had some okay performances against weaker opposition, and I'm not sure whether either of them are any good or not yet. But look, I was very tempted to pick the D's here in a bit of an upset, but I just think the injuries to May and Lever is going to leave them very vulnerable in defense. And look, I just don't think they're going to be able to stop Port at home here. So I'm going to tip Port by about 15 points in what should be game of the round. All right, on to Easter Sunday, where we get to all sit around and, just chill out, eat that leftover chocolate and watch a bit of footy. And we are starting off with the Doggies taking on the Eagles at Marvel Stadium. Now, let's not forget, last year in round 22 or 23, the Eagles beat the Dogs at Marvel Stadium and essentially finished their finals run and kicked them out of the finals. Can I see that happening Can I see that happening again this week? Absolutely not. Dogs by 8 goals. Absolutely just, not going to happen. Bond is going to tear us apart. English is going to have a day out, especially if the Eagles play Harry Barnett again. Look, I am all for getting games into Harry Barnett, but I think English is going to absolutely feast on that. Might be a good week to captain him if you've got him in DT or Supercoach. But yeah, look, I just there's no way I can see Eagles winning this game. Again, I'm not about wins for the Eagles this year. Again, I just want to see what these young kids can do. And yeah, look, I'm pretty excited for this one. It's going to be a good test for us. So anyways, that's going to be that. We're going to lock that in. Dogs by 8 goals. And yeah, the second last game of the round, we're moving on to the Tigers playing host to the Swans at the MCG. Swans are on the march. Swans are on the march. They look hungry and ready to bounce back from a pretty disappointing season, albeit ruined by injuries. But look, I think that the Tigers have looked okay in patches this year. But to be honest, these are two sides in very different stages of development, and I think the Swans are going to get the Chockies done here quite easily. I'm going to say the Swans with a conservative 6-goal win here. Definitely think it could be a little bit more than 6 goals, but that's what we're going to go with for now. And now the last game of the round sees the Hawks playing Hawthorn. The Hawks playing the Cats at the MCG. And look, I've got to be honest, the Cats are looking much better than I thought they would. It feels like this drop-off everyone's been talking about for the last, 5 or 6 years just hasn't happened. And, they're going to be thereabouts, battling it out for a spot in the 8 again. The Hawks thus far haven't really seemed to have had that level up in development that I certainly thought they were going to have this year. And look, it seems like on the other side of that coin, Geelong haven't really gotten any worse. So look, no danger is probably going to hurt the Cats, but they should regain Duncan and possibly Atkins as well, which will really strengthen them up in the middle. So look, I think that should be enough for the Cats to get the job down here by about 24 points. 4 goals there. So look, that's it, guys. I'm going to go with the Lions getting the job done over the Pies and sending the Pies to 0-4 after that grand final triumph. I've got the Blues doing the job on the Roos, the Dockers to get it done at home over Adelaide, Saints to beat the Bombers, Port to be far too strong for a week in Melbourne, Dogs to do it easy against the Eagles, Swans to keep their roll going on the march to September, and Geelong to beat the old arch rival in Hawthorn. Guys, that is the tips for this week. Now, just before we go, Team Coach has just been released. I haven't bought my boxes yet. I am kind of waiting for payday and for some other sales to go through, but never fear if you're a Team Coach fan. We will absolutely be opening that up on the channel very soon. And I do have something else coming up pretty soon. I may have had a few drinks the other night and bought a case of starter packs from Select. So keep your eye out on the thumbnails, guys. We will definitely have a video coming up for that soon. And don't forget, guys, as always, if you're liking the content, don't forget to sub up, become part of the Max Fowl family. That's probably it for me for this week, guys. Enjoy. I hope you have a good week in the tips, and we will see you in the next one.